The craziest thing about this week's Classroom of the Elite episode is just the insanity of the bet when you really take a step back. Because on one hand, if we end up succeeding with this big gamble that we end on, Arzu ends up she gone. She yeeted out of this school, which honestly is a W for us. On the flip side, should he lose, which you might want to say, well, he's Ayanokoji, he's not going to lose. I mean, the exams, it's no laughing matter. I mean, there is possibilities for this author to go the route of him losing, which would then not expel him. We're not going to go that easy, generic way to write a say no. It's he would get exposed. We have the idea of expelled versus exposed. For him being exposed as the mastermind behind his class is something that I didn't think we'd have to consider for a long time, given how he's manipulated these chess pieces. But that's how they end this. And honestly, as much as my gut says, well, he couldn't be exposed because a lot of the charm about him manipulating things behind the scenes would go away, at the same time, even if he was exposed, there's an entire way that he could rebury it, and there'd be certain people that would still think certain things. But yes, I mean, my gut does say that he wouldn't have to worry, but the gamble's still there, and that's quite exciting, on top of us just getting an Ichinose episode, which is pretty much 3/4 of it focused on her and her stealing plotline. And even if it only was like a $300 hair clip, I mean, goddamn, they don't play around with that shit over there. But you know what? Great stuff. I have a full live reaction to this week's Classroom of the Elite episode, though, over on my Patreon. So if you want to see my full length of thoughts as we watch today's episode, it's over there if you're interested. Now, this was probably the strongest episode of the season. Honestly, I think the past 2 or 3 episodes have definitely been a step above. I think whatever the intro arc was, while I don't find it to be a waste, what we're currently in, especially with this whole student council president plotline, much more interesting, and the idea of rumors and how they spread like wildfires is completely believable. Everyone's been in school at some point. Rumors spread, whether true or not, and the interesting thing is that a lot of what's being spread is true, or just skewed to look a certain way, like, oh, our boy's interested in so-and-so, even though there's a lot more to that, or the idea that she's a criminal. And I think what's interesting is while I expected the majority of the class to still stick behind her, I thought what they were going to build into was that we were going to have a situation where like 1 or 2 of the classmates would not feel that way, and even if class unity was more or less back to where it was, we're still going to have a couple of idiots like in last week's episode who just decides to spread, it's kind of like throwing gasoline on the flames like they were doing last week. And instead, all's well that ends well, or so it seems, because basically Arzu as well as Ayanokoji were working together in order to get everything that's happened. And I love how when he interacts with a character, right? It's kind of funny when you think about it, right? Because Horikita, we haven't really talked with her much, and she was a lot of what season 1 and 2 is focused on, but there's so many characters that he interacts and manipulates. One point he's talking with Arzu, one point he'll be talking with Ichinose. Hell, at one point he'll just be talking with everyone, and we'll just casually end on a scene of him saying, I'll give you half of my points going forward, because he values the information that she gives. Like, the entire point for him was just to know how valuable her information was, and clearly he thinks it's pretty damn valuable. And I'm like, this boy, I swear to God, Ayanokoji is playing 12 games of chess simultaneously without breaking a sweat. He lets it go down to the last second that you can make a move, and all the pieces move in the best way you've ever seen. Not because he needed that time to think, but just because he wanted to make you sweat more. I love this show and how I think it's definitely on the right track for season 3. I did not hate the beginning of this season. Some people did. Some people called it boring. I thought it was a lot more boring than what we've seen before, but now that the pieces are really lined up into some exciting territory. But all the Ayanokoji stuff, as great as it was, the star attraction is probably Ichinose and her plotline. Even if, whatever your opinion is of stealing and what she did in that moment, I mean, it's understandable how it's screwed up, especially they all had strong moral compasses there. But honestly, I guess I'm just so desensitized to anime because I'm just always assuming it was like, oh, rush to the hospital, Truck-kun got her. Thankfully, it was just passed out from exhaustion because the mom was working so damn hard to buy her kid, who's such an angel, a birthday present because she never asked for anything, so of course she's gonna work her ass off to do it. Honestly, I thought, it's kind of bad because if I was in her situation, I would have been able to out-navigate that mom. I'm gonna say it right now. All she really had to do was just like, it's pretty easy. She could have said like, oh, I actually ended up getting this job. Even though if a lot of places aren't actually hiring kids her age, there's just ways to lie yourself out of that situation. But she's too nice. She's too good of a person. So instead we get the 6-month shut-in arc, which goddamn, I was not expecting that. But like, yeah, you can make the argument, okay, I mean, it's just a hair clip as much as she wants it. There's other things that but when you really take a step back, the first thing she's ever asked for, hell yeah, grab that shit and run. And she did it successfully. The only issue was that the mom saw right through it. I don't know, man, like, give the damn kid her hair clip. That's all I'm saying, but that's just me. But it provided for a really interesting arc, because rather than going this like, oh, she just get the thrill of stealing or this or that, or she got caught by the police, instead it was much more painful. She didn't get exposed by the authorities. She didn't get exposed by this. Instead, she ruined that whole dynamic. That clip was forever tainted when the sister's crying on the ground, the mom's furious, and you feel like shit. It was a very effective backstory, and honestly, I mean, I'm not surprised with the way she explained it, because hell, I was like, fuck it, steal that damn hair clip. Steal two if you want it. You guys deserve the damn world based on how you guys treat each other. Like, it was just a very sad backstory, without being the route of, oh, my mom died, this is why I had to turn. No, it's just like, the way they explained we didn't have a lot, but we had each other. And for the first time, you know, my sister wanted something. Mom worked herself to the point of being in the ER, and then I froze and I made a mistake. She took full ownership. There was no excuses. She was explaining the train of thought, but how she deserved what she got. And I love the fact that the class collectively was like, you got nothing to apologize for. It was just a very well done backstory. And honestly, I think it goes to show that while there's definitely a lot of character perspectives, and sometimes it's hard to remember who's doing this and who's manipulating who, sometimes episodes like these are really important to really get inside a character's head and just focus on them and no one else for a bit, and let us really feel like we understand them on a personal level, as Ayanokoji is actually manipulating them all for his grand plans. I'm very impressed with this week's episode. I was impressed last week. I mean, as infuriating as episode 4 was last week in terms of the whole just goddamn characters like that exposing rumors, it was nice that the student council president comes in and pretty much buries that shit. Like, pretty much saying, hey, malicious rumors, true or not, they're done. No more of that. And I think if you break the rules, like if you start spreading negative shit about people now, I mean, you're probably pretty close to getting kicked out of the school. Even if they don't do it immediately, like, you probably go from 0 strikes to 2 strikes real quick. And as a, say, 3rd strike and you're out, right? So a lot happened. This was a very good episode. It still continues to crack me up that Ayanokoji is the way he is. I don't think I can recall him ever smiling. The man just blank slate, same vocal range the entire time, and it's kind of hilarious when you think of what everyone's going through. But this was, without a doubt, my personal favorite Classroom of the Elite episode of this season, but let me know what you thought down below, because definitely a lot to discuss, and Exposed or Expelled is coming soon, so let me know your theories down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new around here, of course, ring that bell, and like I mentioned, we have full live reactions over on my Patreon, and while you're over there, I'll also give you a video shout out. So today we have Hunter Du Lupin, George, Zeno, Yuki Ali, Slippers, and Rogue Knight, so I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care and have a good one.